5 things to avoid in traditional women, even if you are dating in a traditional country like Thailand and you're a passport bro. As a matter of fact, these are the things to avoid in all women on this planet. Number 1, and this is going to sound kind of weird to you guys, but hear me out. As a matter of fact, most men who live in these traditional countries don't quite understand this, but I would avoid women who speak English. That's right. The whole point of us leaving a Western country and coming to a traditional culture is so we can date and have ability to date traditional women. But what I've noticed that once a woman speaks English, she gets essentially infected by the Western culture and is pretty much almost never a traditional woman anymore. And the language, and the women who don't speak English and speak, in this case, Thai, have the language serve as the wall around her family values. And so as long as she doesn't hear Taylor Swift and Beyonce, and she only hears her family, friends, and culture, she is a real traditional woman. Number 2, and again, this only applies to traditional countries, you don't want to go after a girl who's walking around wearing very sexy clothes. It's something that in America and other Western countries is not a big deal, especially in hot climates like this. But here, unfortunately, most women who do dress overly sexy, I would say American sexy, are either hookers or gold diggers. And essentially, it's sort of a visual red flag for you that if a woman is dressed, a little too much, she is probably going to be going, there's a good reason why she's dressed like that in a traditional country. Number 3, and this applies to everybody, single mothers. I mean, I hope you've watched enough of Red Pill content to understand why you don't want to date a single mother, but I'll give you probably the most important reason. Essentially, you will never be her number 1, where she will always be your number 1. And that huge limitation and disbalance of a relationship is a complete deal breaker. A traditional woman should be, your future wife should be all about you. There shouldn't be no other human being that is more important to her than you. And if she has kids, well, that position has already been filled. And now there are exceptions. For example, if you're dating someone in her 40s and her kids are already grown and out of the household, that may not be the worst choice, because essentially you actually may be her number 1 person, because once kids go especially away from a household, they're really not, I hate to say this, but not as important to a woman as a man who is with her and who she loves. Number 4, again, this applies for everybody. Women who are busy. Now, there are 2 types of busy. One, a woman says she is busy, but what it really means that, she is busy for you, which means that she doesn't really like you that much, and therefore you should walk away. I have no idea why men love pursuing women who want nothing to do with them. Number one qualification for you to go after a woman is that she likes you, sees value in you, and sees that you're a good man. But the second type is a woman who is busy because she actually is busy. And it almost doesn't matter why. Essentially, you need her time, right? You need her to be around, you need her to be available, you need her to have time to take care of you. And if she's busy, well, she can't perform her role in a relationship. But most of the time, women who are really busy are busy with their careers. And you do not want to date a career woman. Again, you will never be number 1, or not. You will be rarely number 1 for her, and she will always have another boss, essentially, who's in charge of her weekends a lot of times, availability, stress levels, and so forth and so forth. So don't date women who tell you, whether it's true or not, doesn't even matter, that they are busy. And number 5, and this applies more in traditional countries than in America, but I would still have the same rule everywhere: do not date women with tattoos. And I actually have a 5 5-part series about why. So I don't want to explain everything all over again here, but generally speaking, in traditional countries, traditional women do not have tattoos. As a matter of fact, the pioneers of tattoos in almost every culture, but specifically right now in traditional cultures, are usually hookers. Don't get me wrong, out of the list of all of the red flags and types of women that you should stay away from, this is definitely not the end, but I would say these are the top 5. If you think I missed one, go ahead and put that in a comment section. Oh, and if you want to ditch modern women and move to a country with the traditional family values, go to the millionmenproject.com, and that's where I outline everything that you need to know in order to do that. Join me here and become a happy man.